In this video, we'll look at creating a setting for our ring. To do that, we'll use our midplane as a locating tool for what is essentially a round shape that could hold a stone or jewel. In this example, I'll use my signature logo instead of a jewel. I'm going to place the setting in the center of the wider section of this wave pattern so that my signature logo is in line with this one on the inside of the ring. First, let's use this midplane that we already have in our model. Hover over it and press the spacebar to make it the active sketch plane. Now this is a sneaky little trick because now I can select the origin as the center point for this circle. Let's make it 5mm. The reason why that's sneaky is because we were actually using the apparent origin. That is, we were right above it and actually sketched the circle onto the midplane and not the plane that the origin is actually on. Before I go any further, I'll also re-import my logo. And I'll rename that Logo 2. And then I'll disconnect it so that I can move it around and scale it. To move it around, it will also be helpful to turn off the midplane so that we can see what's going on and select the right objects. Using the Translate tool, I can now move the logo so that it's directly in the center of this circle. The Translate tool allows you to move an object from one point to another. In this case, we're moving the logo vertically up from the origin plane to the midplane. Select the origin and then select the center of the circle. Now this can be a bit tricky, so make sure you keep an eye on the command prompts that Shapr3D is giving you. Now let's scale the logo so that it fits inside the circle. Remember to move the reference point for scaling to the center of the logo, which in this case is now also the center of the circle. Here you can see why working around the origin or a known reference point can be so useful. Scale the logo so that it fits inside the circle, and we don't have to be too exact here. Now let's rotate these two 90 degrees and drag them outside of the ring. So that we can see better, let's turn off the main ring body and the pattern. I'll offset the outside of the circle 0.5mm to the outside. Now I'll also turn off the logo. Extrude the inner circle 0.5mm. Now extrude the outer circle 2mm. And now turn the logo on again. Let's extrude the logo out 1mm. Now move the extruded logo back into the setting, and I'll do this by eye until I'm happy with it. Keep in mind, this looks really big on screen, but it's actually all quite tiny. Let's add a couple of chamfers. And maybe I'll flatten the logo down a bit. Now for some visualization. Navigate to Visualization mode. Let's make the outside silver and the inside gold. Now turn the ring back on and move the setting into the ring. And to do that, I'll need to go back into the modeling space. I'll move it in just far enough so that the golden ratio pattern that's been rotated around the ring doesn't show through. To see what this looks like, we can then turn on visualization again. And that looks pretty good. It's important to remember here that this is a fairly simple example, and this might not even be your style, but it's an example of how you can manipulate sketches and bodies to create interesting effects and modifications to your design. For example, we could now modify the material of the inside of the setting to provide some contrast. And we can try a range of different colours and materials here. And what you end up with is, of course, entirely your choice. And that looks pretty good. And if you found this video helpful, then hit the like button, leave a comment or question, and consider subscribing for more tutorials like this one.